Then I thought I wanted money so I could buy it.
He knew the cues, so he went and we did it, put it over my face, and immediately expelled the food. It worked brilliantly. It was awesome.
Let's go. Good boy. You bet. Let's go.
There's a rush as we leave the shallows, as we shake these shadows and find the morning sun. These lungs holding expectations and silent declarations, an island in the flood. We are running free. We are running free. We are running. The time and place is now. All this beauty we have found. Oh, it's got us rising to our feet.
Good morning, family, friends. Thanks so much for tuning in. We've got a busy day around here today. We are heading to my brother's for a birthday celebration later today. So I've got some food to make, so I'm going to show you what I just wanted to share that the training with Thor is going really well. We are enjoying our walks. I tried this morning to take Thor on a walk by himself without Sky. And I always thought that Sky was the reason that he was behaving and kind of staying with me and doing his thing. But I realized today he's much better without her. We have the trails around the whole property that I like to stay on, and so when they deviate from those trails and I just kind of do a quick correction, he's right there. Sky's the one that goes off. She's the older husky. Sky's the one that goes off and kind of meanders around and does her thing, and then kind of, she always does come back, but Thor unfortunately often will follow her, so I have to correct. But when I didn't have her this morning and I just had Thor, he stayed right with me. He deviated off the path a couple of times, but just a simple correction and he was right back on. So I'm thinking I might do morning walks a little bit for the next little while without her and see if things go better. But anyways, we've got lots of fun things here. I'm going to show you what I'm going to be preparing for my brother's birthday, and I also wanted to talk to you about a little device that just saved my life. I am going to share a little story about this little device. It's called LifeVac. It is a Canadian company. LifeVac Canada is where we got this one from, and so I want to share with you how this really helped me out with the situation. But first, I'm going to show you what I'm preparing for my brother's party.
Your presence is around. Nothing stands between me and my God. And the fear that was my prison is no longer where I'm living. 'Cause nothing stands between me and my God. And there's no place I go that He is not. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. We'll be dancing through the dark.
Okay, let's get started on this stuff that I'm going to be making here. I've got myself some raisin tomatoes. They're a little smaller than the grape tomatoes. I usually make these with basil from my garden, fresh basil from my garden, or fresh arugula. My lettuces and all of the basil all went to seed and it bolted a few weeks ago, so unfortunately I don't have any left. And some little bocconcini cheeses. These little guys are a fun little appetizer. They're little round mozzarella balls, cheese, and some salami. I think you can see Eli in the background here. He's playing his Oculus. But I like to use these little things as garnishes for charcuterie boards that I do. And I notice every time I make these little things, they're the first to go. So I thought, you know what, instead of doing the full charcuterie today, I'm gonna go ahead and just make these little garnishes as the primary. You grab 4 slices of this. I use, you can use any sort of salami. I like the Genoa salami, and I get this 3-pack at Costco because it's a lot cheaper. But if that's not an option for you, you can use just really any salami. This is Genoa. I take 4 slices. These are just simple party pick from the dollar store, and start with a tomato, skewer it up, and then a little bocconcini cheese. And then a small piece. I've got arugula today. Like I said, I normally use basil, but arugula will be fine. I wanted to get something a little smaller, and besides, it's kind of a fun looking shape too. What looks like a rose. Fold it in half, and then just roll. And look at, we got a little rosebud. Ain't that pretty? Put that on your skewer, and then another piece of arugula. And they're about the same size. On the other side. My skewers are a little small, but it's okay. It works. Then the bocconcini. And another tomato. And now you've got a nice little appetizer skewer. That is, I got about 40 more of these to make. So while I work away at this, and I'm talking, hopefully I stay in focus, I'm going to tell you about this story about this life vac and how it came into my life, and why I feel like it is something necessary for every family to have in their home. About a year ago, maybe even longer, I started choking on my food. It just was one of those things that was a random thing. It wasn't even really choking so much as it was getting lodged. It was getting clogged here. And so, well, I guess it's been happening for longer than a year, but anyways, it was just an issue that I learned how to deal with. I learned how to eat properly, slow down, small bites. I just kind of learned to live with it, essentially. So what I ended up realizing after living with this for a few years, it had just progressively gotten worse. So to the point where I would caution anybody who was eating with me that if I, did the sign that I was stuck, and they would come to my back and hit my back in a specific spot, and then the food would dislodge, and the odd time I would take a sip of water and it would just go through. It would be fine. It got to the point where Eli was my best companion. I wouldn't eat alone by myself out in public, and I was finding myself getting to the point where I was eating a lot of soups and a lot of things that just wouldn't get stuck. Chicken was the worst, any sort of breads, any sort of dry rices, pastas, things like that. I just could not eat. I just didn't know if they would get lodged, and most often, like I said, it wasn't a frightening thing, because I could still breathe and I could still talk and communicate okay, but it would just get stuck. I had a couple of impacts where they were fully lodged, where even the water wouldn't go down, and it would just, and a lot of times, and I'm gonna get graphic here, but a lot of times when I would drink the water and kind of with the intention of trying to slam it down, if it was too lodged, it would just come right back out and with the food. So more often than not, I would just expel, and it was fine. And then Eli every now and again was having to hit my back quite often, almost daily. It was kind of getting really bad. I was getting to the point where I was concerning the family, and the final straw was one evening when I was eating a potato. It was a simple potato, and I wasn't paying attention to my eating because I was helping Eli with his homework, and so we weren't paying attention, and I swallowed a bite that was way too big, which I knew when it went down. I was like, oh, that was a mistake. But like I said, I've gotten used to learning how to deal with this, and unfortunately, it just was so impacted, it was not going down, and it would not come back up. I taught Eli how to do the Heimlich for me. I used to use, actually, I'm going to show you, can you see this pole right here? behind me here. Yeah, you can see this big pole here behind me. I would take the corner of that and just rail back onto it. I knew how to help myself. And Eli was always very helpful. But unfortunately, oh yeah, he's in the background giving me his 2 cents. Yeah, I was. He helped me get dislodged quite a few times. But after that occurrence happened, my oldest son, Mitch, who came up, and was quite concerned for me. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize he had ordered this, and he had got it for me with the intention of it helping me the next time, because it was so lodged that it would help me. And interestingly enough, like I said, I think every home needs to have one, regardless, because of my choking issue is why my son bought it for me. But we also had, I should have been buying this because we had Daxton, our new grandson, into our family, and he was doing self-led feeding, and he was eating really big bites of his food, and it was worrying all of us. But so Mitchell bought this, and it has actually an adult mask and a infant mask, so it's nice to have here on hand in the event that it needs to be used. See, it has just a tiny baby mask. This is for the little one, and this is the adult one. There's no other way to describe this other than it's kind of like a plunger for your face. It's a reverse plunger, so that when you put it on, it literally, you put it over your face and you just like this. Interestingly enough, about 2 days after Mitchell got this for me, I got impacted. I thought I was eating small enough, and it wasn't going down. And so in my car, I keep this with me so that I have it wherever I am. And I motioned for Frank to go get it because I needed it. I was stuck, and he knew the cue. So he went and we did it, put it over my face, and immediately expelled the food. It worked brilliantly. It was awesome. That was a full impact. I was stuck, and it was full impact. It absolutely, I believe, saved my life, because once it gets fully impacted like that, it's hard for me to then drink water, but I can still breathe. So that is kind of the saving grace for me. But it is still very frightening, especially when I get very anxious, because as I get anxious, everything starts to constrict a little bit more. So I had to learn to stay calm during those moments, which I've learned how to do. But I think as far as having one of these in your home, when you have, even, you don't need to just necessarily have an infant. Yeah, so this, according to the website, it has saved hundreds and hundreds of lives. I'm not exactly sure what the stats are, but I do know that it definitely helped me that day, and I'm happy to have it here on hand in the event that anybody in our family needs to use it. One of the things that I kind of would say is since that occurrence happened, I had a husband who was no longer going to allow me to just learn to live with this condition, because there was something going on that was causing this obstruction, and I needed to get down to the bottom of it. So I did go to the doctors, and we were able to determine that I have a condition called eosinophila I can't even say the name, EOS, esophagitis, and it's just an inflammation of the esophagus. And most people that have this condition are usually sufferers of GERD and or acid reflux, something with high stomach acids that kind of bring up. I don't have that issue at all. So the doctor seems to think that what my concern was and what my issue was to do with my asthma. And if I have inflammatory markers at that point, I have a lot of allergens, things like that, environmental, smoking food, things like that. I do have specific allergies, and I just had to learn what those were and what my triggers were. Anytime that I get into, whenever there's a change in the seasons and the pollen and things like that, you can tell I sound a little congested, and this is not a sickness, this is just me. And so I went ahead and had a procedure where they put the balloon down. I'm trying to block Eli from distracting you in the background here. They open the esophagus up. It seems to have helped. I've only choked twice since that procedure's happened, and both times was easily able to get it down myself. But that being said, I also did discover a lot of food allergies that I noticed were triggering for me, that would cause me to get more inflamed and that kind of stuff. So I try really hard to clean up my diet, and but I'm just very happy that device was available for us to use, and It was a scary occurrence for Eli to have to worry about his mama that way. Every time we were eating, you could just see the look of dread on his face. Like, is today is this moment where I'm gonna have to kind of move over behind you and start hitting you on the back? And I knew I was burdening him, and that's not something that we ever want to do with our kiddos. But I was gonna get him to come up and talk on camera and tell you his side and tell you from his perspective how that was. But we'll see if we can get him on camera here. He's boxing. Who are you fighting right now? Or is your earphones on? He can't hear me. But he got a new boxing game yesterday, so that's what he's playing. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna keep going ahead at these appetizers, and we'll head on out to my brother's birthday.
The name of Jesus, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Oh, when the ground below is shaking, my joy cannot be taken, 'cause nothing stands between me and my God. So I'm looking to Jesus through a veil that's torn to pieces, 'cause nothing stands between me and my God. No, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. We'll be dancing through the darkness, 'cause we believe it. And every stronghold has to break at the name of Jesus. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. So watch the lions break off, watch the enemy flee, watch the walls come crumbling down when the people of God sing. Hear the heavenly roar of every heart set free. Hear the chains of shame hit the ground when the people of God sing. Watch the lies break off, watch the enemy flee, watch the walls come crumbling down when the people of God sing. And hear the heavenly roar of every heart set free. Hear the chains of shame hit the ground when the people of God say, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. We'll be dancing through the darkness, 'cause we believe it. And every stronghold has to break at the name of Jesus. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, oh, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And we'll be dancing through the darkness, 'cause we believe it. And every stronghold has to break in the name of Jesus. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. There is freedom. Oh, there is freedom. There is freedom. We
Are you going to get some?
all right.
All right. Cake for everybody.
Feel the hope inside us. This is where we're meant to be. Alright, catch the horizon. Feel the hope inside us. This is where we're meant to be. We are running free. We are running free. We are I found. And there are other places filled with a million pretty faces, but I found peace with where I am now. Through the ups and downs, I have figured out you find peace where you make it. The scenery won't change it. I wasted so much time thinking I could ever find enough of anything that would bring me peace. So I found peace with who I am now. It's the only me I'll ever be. I found. There are other places, there are a million other faces, but I found peace with who I am.